Hello everyone, welcome back to the Blockman editor tutorial. In these videos, we will give you a complete introduction to the Blockman editor. In this video, we will introduce the part constraint, how to use the spring. Let's look at a scenario first. Click on the ammunition box, fill the crossbow with arrows. Then click on the launch parts, and the arrows will be launched. The effect of firing arrows in the scene is achieved by the spring constraint. Next, we will introduce you to spring constraints by implementing the effect of firing an arrow together. Open the editor, the crossbow, arrows and ammunition boxes, and other parts in the scene are prepared in advance. On the crossbow, you can see that there is a cube part. This part is the crossbow launch part. The effect of the crossbow firing arrows is achieved by dragging the launch part through the spring to launch the arrow. Now let's add the spring to the launch part. Click on the constraint button in the top menu bar to open the drop-down menu, and select spring. At this point, the main anchor point of the spring will appear on the mouse. Move the mouse to the crossbow arm of the crossbow, and click the left mouse button to add the main anchor point to it. Next, the connection anchor point for the spring will appear on the mouse. Move the mouse to the launch part, click the left mouse button to add the connection anchor point, and now the spring has been successfully added. Repeat the above operation on the other side of the crossbow arm and add another spring. In the game resources view, a node called spring constraint appears below the crossbow arm parts. This is the spring. Click on the spring and enter 1.3 minus 0.20 in the parameter of the property from the relative coordinates of main anchor point of the spring. This is to move the main anchor point of the spring to the edge of the crossbow arm. Enter 000 in the parameter of the relative coordinates of the connection anchor point, in order to move the connection anchor point of the spring to the center of the launched part. Repeat the above operation and adjust the other spring as well. Next, let's adjust the appearance of the spring. Enter 8 in the number of turns property. The effect of this property is to adjust the number of turns of the spring. The higher the value entered, the more turns the spring will be wrapped. Enter a value of 0.03 for the thickness property, which controls the thickness of the spring material. The larger the value entered, the thicker the spring will become. Enter 0.2 in the radius property, which controls the size of the spring's wrapping circle. The larger the value entered, the larger the circle will be. This completes our spring appearance settings. Click on the launch part, open its trigger editor, and create a new trigger. When the part is clicked to complete the logic that allows the launch part to be fired multiple times. Then click the run button to enter the run mode. Click on the launch part. It will first return to the launch position, and then launch out. But the trajectory of the launch part is offset out of the launch slot, which is not in line with the effect we want to achieve. Back in the editor, check the fixed at both ends property in the properties view of the spring. Then enter the run mode again. At this point, after clicking on the launch part will move forward along the launch slot without any deviation. This is because the effect of the fixed at both ends property is to constrain the part to which the spring is attached, so that the part does not rotate when it moves, causing the spring to deviate during its movement. Click on the arrow part to add it to the component library. This is to generate the arrow in the component library, to achieve the effect of loading the crossbow with ammunition. Next, click on the ammunition box part to complete the logic of loading ammunition to the crossbow in its trigger editing interface. The specific logic is as follows. Let's enter the run mode to see the results. Click on the ammunition box, fill the crossbow with ammunition, then click on the launch part, and you can see that the arrow is launched. But the arrow fell just after it was fired, which is not the effect we want to achieve. The effect we want to achieve is to have the arrows fired at the colored parts, which requires an increase in the spring's elastic force. In the editor, the spring's elastic force is mainly controlled by the standard length and stiffness properties of the spring. We first set the value of the standard length property of both springs to 1.1, and then enter the run mode. As you can see, after the arrow was fired, the distance moved has increased, but still did not reach the location of the colored parts. This is because the effect of the standard length property is to return the spring from the stretched state to the standard state set by this property. The greater the difference between the stretch length and the standard length, the greater the resulting elastic force. But we can't stretch the spring very far, and this property doesn't provide us with enough spring's elastic force. Therefore, we also have to adjust the stiffness property. Set the value of the stiffness property of both springs to 300, and then enter the run mode. You can see that after the arrow is launched, it can reach the colored parts in the front. This is because the effect of the stiffness property is to change the spring's elastic force. The larger the value is set, the stronger the spring's elasticity will be. Try them out, and see for yourself. At this point, we have achieved the effect of loading the crossbow with arrows and launching arrows. But the way the crossbow is fired is still relatively complex. To simplify the firing process, we can add a switch to the crossbow that controls the launch parts. Move the switch part above the launch part, and complete the logic in its trigger edit interface. To allow the switch to return to its original state after being used, the exact logic is as follows. Then go into the run mode to see the full effect of the crossbow. First, click on the launch part to load the crossbow. Then click on the ammo box to load the crossbow with arrows. Finally, click the switch, and the arrow is launched by the launch part. For more information about springs, please refer to the official user manual. That's all for this video. We hope it can help you on your way to becoming a great creator. If you want to know more about the editor, you can comment below the video or post on the official forum. See you in the next video.